Imagine waking up as a dungeon boss, trapped in a creeping abyss, forced to slaughter every adventurer who dares trespass. That's exactly what Stuck as a Dungeon Mob does to its protagonist, Edward, an 18-year-old college student pulled into a dark, murderous labyrinth. But be warned, every volume hits the reset button on his powers. If you get attached, prepare to be disappointed. Edward finds himself reincarnated as the dungeon champion in a deadly, ever-shifting maze. His only goal, stop the intruders. Armed with a system window that tracks his stats and abilities, he fights to survive and to find a way out. But after each volume, the author resets Edward's level, changes his form, and strips away every skill he's earned. New dungeon, new body, same fight. Will Edward ever break the cycle, or is he destined for endless resets? The dungeon mob concept shines in the early chapters. Watching Edward adapt from a terrified college student into a cunning dungeon boss is fresh and gripping. The system mechanics, leveling, stat boosts, loot drops, add a satisfying RPG feel. But once the narrative resets him to level 1 at the start of each volume, all that hard work feels wasted. What began as an innovative action-driven story becomes a pattern of build, reset, repeat, undermining suspense and reward. Edward's transformations, from skeleton to orc to other dungeon denizens, offer initial variety. His shifting identities force him to relearn strengths and weaknesses, which is compelling at first. However, once each volume ends, all his growth vanishes. The effect? Rather than looking forward to his next evolution, you dread another back-to-zero moment. It kills any emotional investment in Edward's journey. A dungeon itself is a highlight. Twisting corridors, deadly traps, and ever-mutating floor layouts keep the environment tense. The mob perspective is a neat twist on the usual hero and dungeon trope. But beyond the dungeon walls, the wider world remains nebulous. We never learn why Edward was summoned, who's running the dungeon, or how it ties into a grander scheme. With each reset, the promise of deeper lore slips further away. Volume 1 hooks you with its novelty and rising tension. By Volume 2, however, the excitement sours. Every stat reset and body swap feels like a betrayal of the reader's time. Instead of building a single, coherent arc, the author opts for isolated mini-arcs that vanish at the end of each volume. If you crave sustained character development, this structure will feel like a revolving door, not a staircase. Fresh concept. Big points for the dungeon mob POV. RPG mechanics. System interfaces and stat tracking feel authentic. Atmospheric dungeons. Traps, monsters, and shifting layouts keep early volumes tense. What falls short? End of volume resets. Strips away all previous progress and emotional investment. Unearned new forms. Constant body swaps become gimmicky. Shallow world building. Little context beyond the dungeon. Stuck as a Dungeon Mob starts strong with an original premise and addictive dungeon crawl action. But the revolving reset mechanic, level 1, new form, fresh dungeon, quickly turns novelty into frustration. If you prefer a tightly woven narrative with cumulative growth, steer clear. If you can stomach perpetual restarts and just want bite-sized dungeon thrills, the first volume is worth a look. Just don't read on past that. Would you stay stuck in an infinite dungeon loop if you kept losing your powers? Or would you drop it at the first reset? Let me know below.